Welcome to the Green Transition Show with me, Dr. Francis Tuokuu. Viewers and listeners, kindly subscribe to the channel so that we'll continue to bring you more content such as today. With me this afternoon, this morning, wherever you are, is Dr. Anyse Pereira. Doc, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Dr. Francis. Thank you for inviting me. And I'm sure this will be a very productive and interesting conversation.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, the work you do, how your daily work or schedule is?
Daily schedule is chaotic, but I can start with who I am. So I am at the intersection of being a researcher, scientist, and program manager, and a development professional. I came from a heavily scientific background, starting with studying pharmacy and then molecular biology, and then I delved into conservation, and from then I started working with climate, environment and sustainability related projects. I was born in Cabo Verde and grew up there in West Africa. I started my experiences in the development world at the UN in Cabo Verde, and I worked there for a couple of years in the environment, climate change and energy portfolio. Then I worked a little bit also as a consultant, and that gave me the experience of working with multiple projects from Sweden to Angola to Lebanon, etc. In the last couple of years, I've worked as the senior climate strategy professional at Mercy Corps, project managing the organization's climate commitment throughout all the countries they operate. Right now, I have two roles. One as the capacity building specialist at IPCC, supporting the working group 2 in facilitating this capacity to the authors that are building the AR7 report. And also as a country liaison for the Green Climate Fund, supporting the government of Cabo Verde with the readiness projects, and also with becoming more prepared to start implementing larger projects. And that's me.
Yeah, thanks for that wonderful introduction. So Doc and I work together in the same team at Mexico. She's a wonderful person, I must say. And that's why you are the first female to be on this show. But can you tell us what inspired you to pursue a career in sustainability or generally the environment?
I will take that to say, because I think I focused my presentation just in the climate adaptation and climate programming part, but I also served as the SG lead for Toyota Material Handling Europe in its headquarters in Belgium. And I've also, as a consultant, worked a lot with ESG, supporting ESG reports for companies as big as Sonangol, one of the biggest oil and gas companies in Africa. I would say that everything, I'm not sure how much of it was intentional and how much of it was just the opportunities coming in my way. The working in protecting the environment, protecting the earth has a beautiful aspect of it. If you bring it down to dust, it's literally protecting our common house and preparing a better future for the next generation. So that would inspire a lot of people, I would say. So I start there and then working as a program manager, bridging that with sustainability, with climate, and then bring in the social aspect of it. I think that's where I truly found my passion and where definitely my heart belongs. When I implement projects or I participate in projects, I design projects that have impact, tangible impact in real people's lives. And then in the middle of that comes sustainability as a field that is very new. People now, it has infiltrated everything and it feels like it has been there forever, but sustainability is really, really new. It's a baby. Just now we have courses dedicated exclusively to sustainability at universities, but I come from a time, and I'm not that old, that you just need to adapt. Sustainability, you build a sustainability professional, bringing a professional from other areas that has a lot of transferable skills and is highly adaptable, and of course has the hard skills of programming, of GHG accounting, and anything that procurement, anything that you might need, and you mix into that and you build a sustainability professional. So yeah, it's at the end, it was part of my pathway as a professional, and I enjoy the experience of working solely in sustainability for companies. But I would say that my heart belongs to working in sustainable development instead of just sustainability, in a more holistic way for programs with organizations, multilateral, bilateral, or INGOs, CSOs. That's it.
I'm happy you mentioned sustainability and sustainable development at the same time. Viewers, if you are watching us or listening to us, this is the Green Transition Show. We are live on YouTube and we're also live on TikTok. With me to dissect the issues is Dr. Anyse Pereira. Sustainability is a slippery concept. It means different things to different people, and for that matter, it's a contested concept. So, what would you say is the difference between sustainability and sustainable development? Are they synonymous or they are different?
No, they are not the same. They are not the same, and especially the word sustainability can be applied to literally everything, things that can be sustainable, things that can be durable, right? In this specific context, I would say that sustainability is the condition, is a state that we're trying to reach and keep, where the ecological, the social, and economic systems can function and in harmony without undermining themselves. So it's almost a systems concept. While sustainable development, I would say it's a pathway. It's a whole. It's a pathway. There is a very old definition from 1987 that says that sustainable development is meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs, right? So it implies a larger systems, direction, trade-offs, political choices about how we get there. In practice, when you work in corporate ESG, you are largely in the sustainability space, measuring, reporting, managing impacts. And that's of course, you can correct me because you also are a sustainability professional, but I'll say that when you are in the international development or climate finance, that's where you're working a lot more with sustainable development, because you already are in the development space and then you're working towards sustainability in that, designing interventions that change trajectories of communities, of countries, and hopefully of the world. And I've worked in both, knowing which one you're operating will shape how you intervene, right? Which tool, which framework, which stakeholders are important for each one of these cases.
Okay, so looking back, what key decisions uh, serve as a turning point in shaping your career?
At 7, I read a book about Marie Curie.
Wow.
And I decided that I wanted to be a scientist. So that was the first key decision. From that then on, I've been always very, very, very curious. So I went to discover how science works. I studied to become a scientist, and I became a scientist. But then another key decision is when I served as the ambassador for the next Einstein Forum as a volunteer, and I coordinated in that capacity the African Science Week in my country. And I was able to do so much with so little, to bring many children, there are high schoolers together, 400 of them, and move them to come and have an immersion day in science and technology and robotics and everything like that. I was able also to work within my network, and capitalizing on the people that people from my network already know and their influence. I was able to put together something called the Science Parliament, where I brought scientists, about 50 scientists national, and 15 parliamentarians. And it was the first time that such event happened in my country, bringing scientists and lawmakers to talk without mediators about how to use science to do decision making. And I did that with such a short budget. I think at the end, that's always something I say during my interviews. This science parliament, my budget, the money I spent was €5 because I was able to mobilize everything else. So those moments, I think, were key moments. They seem very innocent, but they showed me that it's possible to make a difference even without being a big person, without having a lot of money or having a lot of influence. We can do things, and for me it's very important that my work, my job, and my career is linked to my purpose. So from then on, I decided that I am a development professional, and that's where I've worked so far, and I don't think I'm going to get out of this field.
Okay. So for the young people listening to us or watching us, is there a specific degree one has to pursue in order to um, pursue a career in sustainability, or people can transition from any field into sustainability?
I would say people can transition from any field to sustainability. Young people listening to us now know that, first of all, we are also young. And second of all, right now, universities are obeying to the demand law, right? So because there is a lot of demand, green jobs and all of that lingo that is becoming more and more used, there are courses now, especially in the graduate pathways, not so much in the undergraduations, but in the graduate, that target sustainability, corporate responsibility, and all of that. But I didn't do any specific course that has a degree, at least, to work in sustainability. I was able to transition using transferable skills and building myself from junior. So I remember the first time I worked in sustainability in company projects, I kind of begged my way into a project, and I worked there as an assistant for the first ever ESG report I ever saw. And I said, look, I'm not good at sustainability, but I'm good at processing data. I have a PhD. I did that, literally. And use me for that. And I worked with that project, and I learned the concepts as I was going. I offer them what I already knew, and I learned a lot with them. And that's how I did it, and kept on having experiences, capitalizing on the experiences that I already had, and building myself so I became a sustainability professional.
Talking about transferable skills, uh, which transferable skills and technical skills that one needs in the field of sustainability?
So I will say the hard skills, right? The hard skills that matter is you to know about greenhouse gases, at least the concept. Of course, that if you know accounting, that's even better. Carbon markets, the concepts of what is scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 at least, right? Now there's scope 4 as well, but if you know these 3, it's also good. A little bit about sustainable procurement, and compliance is very important as well according to the markets. ESG reporting framework, CSRD, for instance, in Europe in particular, but also I started, for instance, with GRI, TCFD. There are so many acronyms, sometimes it's a little bit scary, but you start with one. And then once you know those things, maybe build a little bit about climate risk, a little bit of knowledge about climate risk assessment, physical and transition risk analysis, scenario modeling. You don't need to be an expert in all of these things, but if you listen to podcasts even, or if you read something about it, and when people talk, you can kind of understand. That's how you're training your brain to be more comfortable with the concepts. Regarding soft skills, I would say, first of all, communication. Okay, that's transversal, and that's something everyone needs for everything, especially now. You have to be able to think, to put your thoughts in an organized manner, and bring your thoughts into life, communicate them in an organized way that can paint you in a good light. Let's say it like that. You need to know how to communicate. Then what was very important for me is my science policy translation, and that I worked was also a transferable skill that I got from my academic period. The ability to take complex technical information and make it into actionable decision-making frameworks for non-specialists. That's very, very important. And you know what, Francis? Sometimes I feel like we academics and we Africans, we have the tendency of not doing that because we like big words. And we need to tune that down sometimes. Yeah. Second, stakeholder facilitation. All right. And that comes from your networking capabilities. So stakeholder facilitation, stakeholder management, sustainability always involves bringing together people and with competing interests and finding workable consensus, especially because now sustainability is kind of a new field and it's being imposed. It started from being strongly suggested to being imposed into companies, and if not well integrated in companies, we will be seen as, oh, here comes the annoying people with the Excel sheets again, telling us that we need to stop doing this and stop doing that. So we need to build a crowd of supporters inside a company. We need to be able to convince from management to colleagues what is the relevance of sustainability. We need to do a little bit of advocating for ourselves, for our work inside the companies. And third, I would say cultural competency and adaptability. And here's where I shine. So I've came from a global south country, West Africa. I've lived in the UK. I've lived in Portugal. I've lived in Belgium. Now I live in Belgium. I lived a little bit, like a couple of months in the US. I know how to navigate different cultures. I know how to adapt myself, and I know how to bring the best in each, how to learn. I think we need to be teachable, very, very teachable, and very, very humble. So we know how to navigate and know how to communicate for different audiences according to gender, according to culture, according to context. So I would say if you know that, and here honestly the soft skills are even more important than the hard skills.
The soft skills are more important than the hard skills. Viewers and listeners, if you are watching us or listening to us, this is the Green Transition Show. We are live on YouTube and we're also live on TikTok. We ask you to subscribe to motivate us to continue to bring you very topical and important issues, particularly at this time of our history where climate change is a threat to food security and the well-being of our planet. We need to talk about this important topic is Dr. Anyse Pereira. She's a consultant with the United Nations. My next question is, again, if young people are watching us or listening to us, which sectors offer the most important sustainability jobs?
Several sectors stand out. Of course, we have corporate sustainability and ESG compliance is booming right now. Depending on your geography, it will be more or less, but I live in Europe and it's booming. What I see is companies that, as we've been repeating, this is very new. Companies are starting this journey mainly with consultants. Okay, in Europe at least. You'll see a lot of the ESG reports not being done by sustainability staff because many times there's not a sustainability department, or is it very, very small. But we'll see Big Four or smaller consultancy firms taking care of that. So I would say pay close attention to internships, to small projects and opportunities that might appear in the consultancy firm's space, and try to network in that space. Go to conferences. There is a lot of courses that they offer, the big consultancy firms. They offer courses, they offer conferences, they have a lot of events. So going and trying to network, I think it's very, very good. Climate finance in green investment is also another growth area. So in here, development banks, impact investors, green climate fund, ecosystem, national green banks, multilateral, bilateral agencies even. In this case, bringing your accountant skills, your finance skills, your understanding of how money works, how money flows, together with understanding the purpose of the development sector, which at the end is getting the money from one place and then funneling it to another place according to several pre-established priorities, is very important. Energy transition, also renewable energy companies, grid operators, energy efficiency consultancies is also a very good sector. And my home sector, climate adaptation, which is my home ground. I think they're finally getting more serious about funding after years of being under prioritized. Of course, that now because of political mismatches between regions and countries, we are seeing a lot of instability. But I think that in general, the awareness is increasing. at least from the organizations themselves. And now the advocacy efforts are targeting more the sustainability as a word and as a concept, inside the projects. Yeah, I would say that those are the sectors that come to mind for now. But at the end is every sector, even education now. There is a lot of countries that and programs and they are targeting sustainability. They are wanting to include sustainability inside education curriculums. So at the end, we need to study what are our competencies, what is our strength, and then from that point we can look what is the pathway that we'll choose and what is our target.
For young people who are looking into the job market, what would you say are some of the common mistakes they often make in their quest to find jobs within the field of sustainability?
Okay, I'll say this. This is not I won't start with a mistake.
Okay.
I'm also a mentor, and what I always tell my mentees is that school or university gives you a training. It doesn't give you a profession. The profession you have to come up with. There is a lot of skills in how to enter the job market, how to thrive in the job market that are not even touched in the university. And I am so sorry for that. There is so much that I had to learn, especially as someone that comes from a very small country. My country have 500,000 people, not even a million. So our job market is very, very limited, very different. And now I come into Europe that we have applicant tracking systems, we have keywords, we have Google XYZ formulas to put in the curriculums. So the common mistake and the most grave mistake is you not looking into understanding how the recruitment process works. And I've been through that. So once I decided after the UN and after my PhD that I have the UN experience, I had a little bit of African wildlife. It's an INGO that has his headquarters, African Wildlife Foundation in Washington DC. I worked there for a little bit too, and I had some experiences. I was a coordinator for African Science Week. I had a PhD, and I said, "Oh, okay. So now I'm ready to work in Europe, and I have all of this. I'm such a great professional, and they will love my experience. I'll find work in no time." That was not the story that happened. I looked for job after job after job, and I was like questioning all of my life choices. Like, why did I even study? People don't appreciate that I studied for 12 years straight. that I built myself professionally in the biggest multilateral organization of the world. What is this? And I was, okay, so something is not making sense here. It's not that I am the best person of the world, but I have an interesting curriculum. Why can I not get a job in Europe? And I stopped applying and I started studying the application process. I took some months. I started, and then I came into ATS. Okay, okay, what is that? Okay, so there's a filter that checks my CV. So my beautiful Canva CV that I had with my picture, with flowers, I didn't have flowers, but I have columns, I have graphs, I have diagrams. That is absolutely repelled by the ATS. So my CV is not even reaching the human resources of any department because my CV is not formatted correctly. So that gave me the first clue. And then another mistake that many people don't do is I got a mentor. And I will stop here to say that coming from the academia, from a highly scientific focus, and highly research oriented environment, I was naturally very skeptic about mentors and coaches and all of that. Okay, large amounts of prejudices. But I found a mentor that had the career that I wished I could have. She is a Nigerian scientist that came from Nigeria, studied in Europe, researched in Europe, was a teacher in Europe, university teacher, and then in Canada, and then in the US. And she was a career mentor. And I was like, okay, I think she is not a scam because she's effectively a professional. And I went, and it was absolutely a whole new world, made a ton of difference. And at least in a quantifiable way, I will say that right before I get my first career mentor, because now I have another, I was earning a salary, and now, I don't know, 6 years later, I'm earning my yearly salary in 1 month now. That is the quantifiable impact, and I was able to grow my career. So get a mentor, look for the right one, because there is people that will be scamming you. Look for the right mentor. Invest in your knowledge, and don't think that the knowledge that you need to have is only hard skills. That's another thing that we do. Diploma stacking, okay? Course after course after course after course, looking for diplomas, hoarding diplomas. But I work now as a project management professional. I've been but I've been intending into having a PMP certification, so the project management professional. And it would be really nice for me, really good. It's a certification from an international body that I am a program manager. But I don't need the program manager certificate to work as a program manager. I can do it, and I am a professional in program management even without it, because I built the skills and experiences, not because of a diploma. So let's balance our need to hoard diplomas with real life experience and with soft skills, building ourselves to be the person that we want to be.
The import of what I got from your response is that the university gives us a training and not a profession. Now, viewers, if you are watching us or listening to us, this is the Green Transition Show. We urge you to subscribe to the channel and follow us as well. So, what are the biggest misconceptions about working in the field of sustainability, and what challenges should people realistically expect?
Misconceptions. I would say a big misconception, is that sustainability jobs are abundant and easy to get because everyone cares about the environment now, right? So, and especially now that we're seeing reports all the time saying green jobs, and then you try to apply for that job, or even look for those jobs, you don't see any, and then you'll find companies. I don't know what's going on. I say that we need a literal Tinder between job seekers and companies, because companies are saying that they don't have enough people working in green jobs, and then the applicants are there saying, okay, we want to work. How can you say that there's not enough people? I'm here, so what's going on in that middle there? We need to find what's going on. So yes, there is a lot of growth because we came from literally zero. Sustainability was not a thing before, at least not remotely like is now, but is not as booming in terms of jobs, Okay, and that's reflecting in all sectors actually. Now it's a hard market to get a job. The field is growing, but it's also becoming more professionalized and more competitive. Entry level positions are increasingly expecting technical skills that used to be expected from mid career professionals. So be mindful of that. Second misconception is that, and that's a common error I see from sustainability professionals. Even I had that. We tend to live in a bubble. We that work with sustainability, with climate, thinking that it's so obvious, right? Everyone should care. Everyone is caring about the environment, but it's not like that. It's not like that. Outside of our space, that is a very, very untangible concept. Sometimes many people don't care, especially in a company that the main goal is profit, right? So if you come to a company which the main goal is profit with a moral argument of, oh, the turtles are dying and the trees, oftentimes you might not get your way and you'll become frustrated. So again comes the need to work in your communication, so you can adjust your communication to your target audience. You need to tell people about the climate risk, about the reputational risk, about all that matters for the stakeholders, for the board members. And I think that the most important thing for them are not the turtles at the moment and the trees. So you need to adjust that. I would say, let me see if I have, because I had some notes here that I took. But I would say that those are the main things that I wanted to bring here in terms of misconceptions.
Okay. So what are your final reflections, particularly for young people listening to us or watching us who want to build a career in the field of sustainability? What is the single most important piece of advice you would give them?
That no one is responsible for your career but yourself. Your company is not responsible for your career. Your boss is not responsible for your career. Your company doesn't owe you recognition. Build a career, a professional brand that is independent of your workplace, because the day you don't have that job anymore, and anything can happen, if your professional identity is tied to that workplace, you lose your professional identity if you lose that job. So build yourself to be a professional in sustainability without being Francis, the sustainable professional from company X. No, Francis, the expert in sustainability that is working now at company X, but can work in any other company because he's a professional and he built an image for himself independently of that company.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anyse. Viewers, this is where we bring the curtain to a close. Subscribe to the channel, The Green Transition Show, so that next week we'll bring you another insightful discussion around green transition. Thank you very much, Dr. Anyse, once